buffet, 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 yeah. Pillow talk buffet, 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 pillow talk buffet, 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 yeah. Pillow talk buffet, 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 pillow talk buffet, pillow talk buffet.
I'm Jessica,
I'm Clara.
and you are listening to
The
Pillow Talk Buffet. Okay, I'm sorry. I am sick of me already. I'm sober.
Okay, so we've mentioned briefly on other episodes our online dating or dating app experience. Can you remind me what your experience was like?
Yes, I spent 30 days on Hinge. It cost $25, and I want my money back. I want my money back. I didn't like it. There was one guy who, there were a couple. Most of them were like, ugh, no. There's one guy I talked to for like 5 seconds. And I told him I lived in Westland, because I lived in Westland at the time. And he said, oh, that's far. And I was like, well, where do you live? He was like, the west side of Detroit. I'm like, no. That means you don't have a car, you don't have no money for gas, or your tire's bad. If you think Westland is far from the west side of Detroit, that
It's only tire for shoes.
Yes, no.
So
No. That was just, I haven't heard many from people like that I don't know. I've heard okay stories, right? There's some people who've met on Tinder, or Plenty of Fish and got married. I don't know these people. Anybody that I know personally has not had a very successful or great experience on dating sites. And I'm already like a little awkward. I don't know what you want me to do with a dating site. Nothing. Nothing.
I've heard mixed. I definitely hear more negative than positive. So from like women that I've talked to, either like they hate it or they're like, it's kind of fine, you know? So some people that I work with, I was like kind of asking them their opinion on it. And they all were like, like it is what it is, you know? Like I think one girl had like decent dates from Bumble. And then, but then like one of my friends, we went to dinner together with the kids, and she was showing me what it looks like. Because I was just curious. I'm like, what do dating apps look like? I personally have never used an online dating app. I've never gone on a date with somebody that I met online. I never had a relationship with somebody that I met online. So I was curious, and it not being me and there being no risk to me, I thought it was fun. I was like, look at this guy. What's that tattoo say? I'm like zooming in on these people. Like, what's that tattoo say? If it's dumb, I'm going to like swipe the other way, you know? But I thought it was fun. So she like showed me like, oh, if you like one of their pictures, you click on it, like, and then they can like message you. So, I thought it was fun because it wasn't me. But then, you know, like the next day or two, she was like, just so you know, like, so you understand about these dating apps since you're curious. I didn't hear from any of those people. And I was clicking all over the place. I was like, that guy's creepy. Like, he's a murderer for sure. But like, there were several that I thought would be good for her, like a good match, and they looked interesting or whatever. But she was like, yeah, I didn't hear from any of them.
I feel like it's like too big of a pool, right? Like, so nothing was ever promising. Like, there was one guy, he was like really cute or whatever, and I forgot what happens on Hinge. I don't know if they like, something positive happens that lets you know someone was like, oh, kind of interested or something. Remember I said I'm awkward. So I told him, I said, hey, I'm about to get up off of here. What? There's nothing like cute, sexy about any of my approach. But, hey, I'm about to get up off of here, but if you want to text me.
That's
if
so
you want
you.
to text me,
So
here's
you.
my number. Like, because I don't like it. Of course, I never heard from him. But I have a friend, a close friend, and she's done like Match and all, you know, a couple of others. But there's so many options that the attention span of men, and maybe even women, is like well, if you bore me just a little bit, there's someone else I can try to go to. And then for her experience, everything was super like physical and, you know,
Like immediately through conversation?
like immediate through conversation. And she met up with like one or two people, with two men. So, and I feel like sometimes like these unhappily married men like lurk and hide here. Or like men who are just, I don't got time to be sifted. I don't want to sift. Like, I don't have the patience, or I'm not that interested, and no, I don't like it.
And recently we had that study that we talked about, and there is a much higher percentage of men on dating apps. I think it's like 60 something percent, and then 40 something is women. So there would be a lot more options for women. Now, one of my guy friends said, I wish I had that problem because I feel like there aren't a lot of women there, but girls have a lot of options, it seems like.
Wow.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But anyway, so the people that I work with, there's a few that have done this like regularly, and one girl like even said like she has a roster of people, and I just like that for women,
roster?
like a roster, like you got your options.
Yeah.
But they all were like, yeah, it's okay, you know, and one girl was like, yeah, it's good, like I've met several guys that I've dated, and you know, it's not a bad place to meet people. So I don't know, I feel like I hear either it's okay or it is the worst thing ever, and I wish I didn't have to do this. Like, I think most people in general would rather meet someone organically in person, you know, but especially after COVID, I'm like, how?
Yeah. I don't know, because I know COVID affected people like a lot of ways, but like, how do you even meet? Because I feel like I'm like, either I'm giving off the wrong energy, or like, I don't know, like what do you do to meet? I guess you gotta get out the house.
Gotta get out.
But I feel like even when I'm out, I don't know. I don't even know what it would take.
Yeah, I know. Like I said, like in our last episode, like someone would have to like try to buy me everything at Target. Because literally the places I go inside Target, I don't go inside Kroger for my groceries. Target. I hope you see me at a restaurant, because if I'm already eating out, like, who, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we can come
like
to
when
me
I
and
hear
my friends and buy our lunch.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like when I hear certain stories, they're like, yeah, we met at, you know, I was like, I dropped some cheese, and he was picking out cheese. I don't know. I'm making up the story. But anyway, my point is,
if it was picking out cheese, count me in. If someone is like, this girl likes cheese, I'm all in. But they wouldn't see me there. They would have to be online. What if people could meet through the Kroger app?
Oh,
like they match you on your grocery preferences?
I wouldn't meet anyone there either. I hate the grocery store.
Even if you were like doing a click list online?
Man, I get so overwhelmed.
Do you?
I'm like, do I need 3 green peppers or 2 green peppers? It's just me. It's just me. Why do I need 3 green peppers? Like,
you know I'm a process person, so I'm like, okay, clip these coupons. Because I'm not doing physical coupons, but they're online coupons, so I like that. All right, get all these coupons. And I'm like, okay, what am I making? Add all this stuff to the cart.
Okay, sidebar. Do you like plan your meal? I mean, you have children, right? Do you plan your meals and then shop from your planned meals, or do you just shop and then put meals together based on what you purchase?
I can't do that. Like, I can't just like buy random things and then be like, I love people that can. Okay, I've met people that are like, oh yeah, I'll just like take whatever's in the house and put it together and make like a stir fry or something. And I'm like, I have to know what I'm going to make if I'm going to make it. But usually what happens is I plan to make it and then I DoorDash something and then I never eat it anyway. But it's hard too, because like it's me and the kids. The kids are like corn dogs, chicken nuggets, mac and cheese, spaghetti. I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
Like, maybe sometimes, but like I do like some Velveeta shells and cheese, but it's like a comfort food.
Yeah. I like rice. I just eat rice.
You want to know what I had for dinner?
What?
Hello, people that I feel like you guys will understand this. People that grew up without money. I had a can of Dinty Moore beef stew and bread and butter.
Ooh, that bread and butter.
And I almost had a glass of milk, but I forgot to get it. But that glass of milk would have been everything, but I was running late, so I didn't get the milk.
Sister.
So, so recently we reached out to see if people wanted to share their online dating stories with us, so I can live through them and we can talk about it. So I'm going to keep all the people anonymous that reached out to me, even though half of them said that I didn't have to. So I'm going to start, my one friend, like I said, I used hers, and this kind of like got me thinking, because being single, I've thought about it, but then I think about how I would be talking to someone I never met.
Because
TMI, immediately. I just can't imagine how much information I would give to a stranger on the internet. Think about it. You know me. Can you imagine? Be like, yeah, I just got done watching all these murder docs, about to go read this murder mystery, and they're gonna be like, what? That's all you do is read about
right,
murders?
because how do you appeal to someone you don't know?
Not about talking about murders, I'm assuming. But I'm like, what else do I have to talk about? Okay. So, first, this is from a woman who is heterosexual. So she wrote us this long thing, and we can take pauses whenever you want if you have anything to comment on. So this is called Internet Dating Essay, LOL. I've always been shy, so the easiest way for me to date was meeting people online. I've had different relationships stem from meeting online, to name a few. In college, I had a cuddle buddy. I went to his apartment just to cuddle, and it was amazing. Do you think you would do that?
No. With a rando?
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Like, I'm assuming there's no
Bed
sex
bugs.
if it's
Bed
just
bugs,
cuddling.
bed bugs, bed bugs. No.
Oh, bed bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, bed bugs.
I don't know you.
And, like, what if they're not...
If they smell funny.
Smell funny? What if their bed isn't clean? What if...
This is making
What if their
me itch.
temperature is different than yours?
Like all hot and
Yeah.
sticky.
Okay. That's one. So, I'll get more details from her on that eventually. And I'm sure she'll comment and tell us. So, look for that in the comments. Thank you very much. The first man I fell in love with, I probably met on Plenty of Fish. I had a weekend rendezvous, similar to a one-night stand, but it was a full weekend. Hey. I met a man who worked at a movie theater, and I let him take me to the movies for free. Once I got bored, though, and fell asleep, so I probably became the awkward date. I found the man I married and thought I'd spend the rest of my life with, just to be brokenhearted. Now, I've been living with someone for 5 years, and that's all because we met online 6.5 years ago. So for her, it worked out.
Right.
And I know her boyfriend now. I knew her husband. Her husband, I mean, they've been divorced for a long time, but he ended up being like a piece of trash and was living like this double life, like wild story for, another time if she's comfortable with it. But the guy she's with now is like very nice. Like,
oh, that's awesome.
I'm just really happy for her. Like, I've never seen her this happy in a relationship. And it's like great when you see your friend like with someone that just adds to their life.
Yeah.
Because that's like at the end of the day what we all want. Like, someone that you're not.
Who's going to grocery shop for me?
Yes.
I'll cook it. Can you go? No, because I want to.
Yeah. We would be the perfect couple. Because I would just have it all put in the back of the car and I bring home, like, I'm going to DoorDash if you don't cook anything. We'd be so good together. My biggest tip before meeting in person is to ask yourself what you want from the meeting. Are you looking for something for the night or long term? Then make sure you are on the same page. I guess that is fair for all relationships, but no point meeting up if you're just going to be wasting each other's time. Meet when you feel ready, but realize people won't wait forever. I think it's a great tip.
I think so too.
My cousin, who I love so much, and she's been a very big supporter of our podcast. She gives me all her feedback.
Go, cousin.
She listens
Thank
to
you.
every episode. Yes, Jacqueline, thank you so much. She said that she watched our latest episode. By the time people see this, the episode we just posted was Insecure Relationships. And she said, I loved that episode. Like, you saying that there's a difference between insecure people and insecure relationships meant a lot to me. And then she mentioned Herb, how Herb said it's really important up front to say what your intentions are. Like, it's like a business. Like, we should be on the same page and see if it's going to matter. She's like, that's exactly what I did with my wife. And they're so happy too. Like me and the kids just went to Wilds with them last weekend, and they're just like a really good couple, and just like being around them is great, and so I'm happy for her too. But anyway, so I think that's important too, and that's something that I've had to learn over time, like to not be afraid to like fit into what you think someone wants of you, and to just be like, listen, these are the things.
Well, I think because relationships have a tendency to be like super romanticized, or going off like all this chemistry and all of this like, you know, and after that will wane. Not that love or connection or whatever isn't there, but if we go off of just this feels good now, you know, we're not asking any qualifying questions. We're not trying to figure out, you know what I mean? So like an awareness of self, and then awareness of what that other person, are we on the same page? Because ultimately that's what's needed for longevity. But if I'm like, oh, I just want to hump her, him, I don't want no hump. I don't want to hump her. No diss to anybody want to hump her. Anyway, my point is, we're going to move up on out of there.
Whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready, I'm here.
Anyway, my point is,
side,
ask questions. Qualifying questions. Carry on.
Yeah. No, I think that's important too. And like something, and we've talked about this a ton, something I've definitely done is be like picking people that I know still have growing to do before they catch up with me. And I'm like, let me build them to like where I need them to be. But then you're still growing and you're never on the same page.
Well, okay. And add to that, because I don't know why I'm like, but anyway, because I've done something similar, right? Like, I'm like, well, they like me, and I like them kinda. I like that they like me, but they're not quite. I have to totally not be who I really want to be, or who I really am, in order to fit in that space. And then I'm miserable because I'm like vibrating and living way beneath who I am to try to just match this, you know. And I'm like no, you know what I mean? So I like that you mentioned that.
Yeah. So she goes on to tips, because that was something that we asked for too. And I do want to mention that because I have some first date suggestions from some people that I work with that I thought were amazing. So we'll come back to that. So she says, when it is time to meet, go somewhere public and tell someone about the meetup. I didn't always do this step and feel lucky that I'm still alive. My recommendation is to meet somewhere that won't require a time frame or the weirdness of determining who's paying. That is part of what I want to talk about, because that was something I was really nervous about recently. I like coffee places. You can get your own coffee, they can get theirs, and you can sit and chat. If you're not feeling it, you can just part ways without waiting for food to be delivered and sitting awkwardly through a meal. Great advice, I think, because please don't ruin my feeding time, because that is like the most special part of my day. And if I'm uncomfortable eating, it's not a good time for me.
No.
I made myself sound like
Feeding
some
time.
kind of farm animal.
The first thing I thought was a trough.
I know. Yes. 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 Don't get in the way of my slop. It'll not end well for you.
Can you imagine that on your dating profile?
That's why I would be so bad at it. Don't get in the way of my slop. My feeding time is the most important time of the day. They'd be like, oh my God. If it's going well, they won't kick you out until closing time for the coffee place, and plan a casual dinner for date number 2. I recently had a coworker.
What's casual? Because you're not taking me to Chili's, bruh. Okay, anyway, sorry. That doesn't matter.
Casual dinner, like, I'm assuming somewhere, like, not super fancy, you know? Like, where you have to wear, like, a ballroom dress.
Okay, maybe I shouldn't say Chili's. I like Chili's. I like Southwest.
Chili's is fine. My kids eat fine there because they have kid options. But, like, as an adult without my children, is that the first place I'm picking?
I don't know, because then does that make me sound shallow? It's not shallow. But if I'm going to go buy myself a steak, you know, she's buying no Southwest and egg rolls. I'm just saying. Anyway, you carry on.
Okay.
Neither here nor there. I sound like a goat digger.
I recently had a coworker. Okay, wait. I had to text her about this. Okay. I recently had a coworker tell me you can tell if someone is crazy by the way they eat.
First of all,
Me.
first thing I thought it was like Monster from the Muppet Babies, like like what? How are you eating?
Or Cookie Monster.
Yeah, like what?
I know.
Lettuce flying everywhere.
And then she said, I'm not honestly sure if that's true, but might as well see how they eat soon into knowing each other.
Okay,
Don't
pause.
get stuck with the loud chewer or the.
Oh. How? So what could you? What do you imagine a crazy person eats?
Well, if we're talking about Dahmer, it depends on what they're eating. Like,
You gave her that sandwich. Like, here, eat it, eat it.
I want to listen to your heartbeats.
Ew.
I'm gonna eat it. I don't know. Probably like, I don't know. I would picture it being like open. So I did ask her what she meant. She's like, honestly, I don't know. She just said, you'll know it when you see it. I was like, I had to ask her, am I a crazy eater? She's like, I think you're fine.
I feel like people who like cut their food up into tiny pieces, and like eat with their fork backwards. You know, like, gosh, I wish I had a fork to demonstrate.
No, I know it.
And
You mean
then,
it's
like,
upside
take
down.
Tiny
'Cause I'm
bites
like,
and they chew it all 25
Ew.
times.
Ew, especially meat.
Psychopath.
But also the opposite.
Ew,
if
meat,
you don't cut
yeah.
it at all.
Oh, if you like, that's even worse.
Okay.
Now, why did I make that noise?
That's the best part. And then you wheezed.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. The most awkward date I went on was to a Tigers game. I had never been, and the guy decided I needed to go. That sounds aggressive. You need to go to a
No.
Tigers game. That's not somewhere anywhere anybody needs to go. He picked me up from my place, and we headed downtown. We knew from hello at the door, there was no physical attraction in person, but he was a gentleman, and I wanted to experience a baseball game, so we proceeded. It was awful. We barely spoke, and it made experience a game not worth it. It was too long to be stuck together, because they are like 4 hours, like minimum.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't like baseball. I could care less, but I'm like, what kind of food is here?
Yeah.
And what kind of beer do they serve? Like, I can make it fun for myself, but if you're not, like, in good company. Okay. At first, when I thought about horror stories, I couldn't think of one. I look at the positive in situations, but I realized I do maybe have a couple that would be considered horror maybe. I went on a few dates with a man who would end up sexually assaulting me. I don't think this is online specific, though, and can happen regardless how you meet someone. I met a man in mid-Michigan. I let him pick me up at a park and ride, sorry. I made that sound weirder than it was. Then I let him take me to a park no one was at. The date went fine, but after he dropped me off at my car, he followed me home to learn where I lived. He became a stalker. If he didn't see the car in the driveway, he would text me asking where I was, who I was with, what I was doing. This was after the first and second date. I think I went on a third and then ended it. He was creepy. We both met this person. My previous relationship was with a man named Mitchell. I met him online after learning my husband cheated on me while I was going through a divorce. Mitchell said everything I needed to hear to feel special. He's a truck driver, so I first met him at a hub in Metro Detroit for the company he worked with. On our first meeting, he actually became irate with another man at the hub because he thought the man looked at him wrong. This should have been a red flag, but all I could see was the good. He did leave on the road after a few days and ghosted me. After 3 weeks or so, he got in contact with me again, asked to come see me at the place I was living, and never left. He lost his job and expected a lot from me financially and was mentally abusive. I had to move away from him and blocked him on everything I could just to get away. Ending with a positive, my current success, Steve. I met him after my divorce. Our first date was a brewery that I tried to cancel. I didn't have the extra money to go, and I don't like to assume or expect first dates to pay for me. He said he would buy, and that was no reason to cancel. Our first date was great, but I was bummed when he didn't kiss me, lol. When we talked after, I asked if there was a reason, and he just didn't want me to feel pressured. Yeah. Why don't you kiss me, fool?
I know, golly.
Yikes.
It was your face.
On our second date, the first thing he did was kiss me to make up for it.
Ugh.
Steve and I ended up being long-distance friends with benefits. This gave us the opportunity to become friends and build trust. A full year after meeting, we met for the Frankenmuth Beer Festival. I got drunk and told him I loved him, and he said it back. Don't worry, the next day while sober, we said it again.
Oh.
September 2017, we moved in together and are still together. I enjoyed all the dating I got to do mostly in my 20s. I had fun, but looking back, I made some stupid choices. So, thank you for sharing that. I know you didn't care, but I'm not going to say your name. And then the next two that I want to talk about today are from men, which I think it's very important because men have different experiences, right? Okay, so one, so he reached out and said, just got back from a walk. He had to tell me that. And then he said, let me condense these down from good, bad to the ugly. This is not based on their looks, but their actions. I appreciated that.
Okay.
Like, okay, we're not ranking them
Right.
by looks. Okay. Ugly. After college, I started using plenty of fish. It was interesting, not too many hits. One woman, a teacher about my age, responded back and said she was interested. However, in talking to her, I found out she was into BDSM, which I had to Google. Did you Google it? Herb just knew that? Bondage, discipline, dominance, and submission. Submission. Okay? So it's a whole thing. Now, granted, using rope to restrain someone was one thing. Spanking can be something else. However, she wanted to be hit with a wooden cane until she bled. No joke, she even directed me to her website. I drew the line there. I don't hit women, especially when they can bleed. Fair point to you, sir. Yes.
We appreciate
we
that.
are for that behavior. Bad.
Wait, we not about
The
to
first was
slide
ugly.
past.
The first was ugly. Oh, we're not gonna slide past it. You want to keep going?
What brings people? What is the draw? What do you think?
Of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Herb and I were talking the show that was, what is it called? How to Build a Sex Room? Is that what it's called? Okay. I've only seen a couple of episodes so far, but the way like the clients that want these rooms built kind of explain it is like the ones I saw is like one kind of likes the dominance and the other one kind of likes the like being submissive and being like the element of surprise, like, and being dominated. So, I mean, I didn't ask like if that woman I guess obviously she liked being like physically harmed, you know, like I can't imagine being.
You hear me? We bucking, boy. I'm sorry. Anyway.
No, I
don't
almost
know
asked
what
you a
else
very intrusive question, but I'm not going to do it. Then I was looking at you like guilty without even, I didn't even ask you. I felt guilty, so we're not going to go there.
Can you ask me later? Okay. Because I'm nosy and I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bad. I went on a date recently with a woman who was a fellow videographer and a grad of GVSU. I met her using Facebook dating.
Wait, I didn't connect the two, and I was like, "What's GVSU?"
I think it's Grand Valley.
State
Yeah,
University.
that's where he
I'm
went. is
stuck in
Grand Valley.
BDSM. I'm sorry, I just thought of another.
What is this now? Google that. She knows my best friend Randy, and he spoke highly of her. However, I find out that she edits for some very conservative groups, and the time Roe v. Wade was overturned, and that made me feel off about her. I give her neutral vibes back and ask for a second date. She is slightly offended that I was not blown away by her. She then proceeded to ask if I could come to her place for a date too, with a sleepover with a lot of sexual overtones. I shut her down.
Come on, standards.
These are the emojis I use. This one. That one. This very surprised one. And good. Well, this is more recent, and it was with my ex. I met her using OkCupid. We watched and talked a tiny bit, mostly about fun geek stuff. It turned out that her best friend worked with me. That helped me break the ice and move things along because I had an in with her bestie. However, we hit some snags, and we called it quits after a year. It's honestly pretty scary for guys to do online dating, in my opinion. Women have control, which is fine, but they have a lot of options, and many times you can get lost in the sea of suitors. So that was his take on online dating. What do you think?
So lost in a sea of suitors, would you be flattered by like a bunch of suitors? Would you have the capacity for multiple suitors?
I don't think I would have like the energy. Like, I think it would be hard for me. Sorry, I like was falling asleep. I think it would be hard. I mean, like, okay, what's a lot to you? Like, say you were like, got the app tomorrow. Like, what is a sea of suitors to you? Like, what would a lot be? Like, that would be too overwhelming of a number to deal with.
I don't. 3 maybe.
3 is too many.
It's too many. And like, if you're like an awful, like you're not into quality and quantity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
so it'd be the quality of suitors,
Mhm.
and I just can't imagine trying to entertain or. I don't know. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't be. I don't know. I don't know if I'd be flattered. Like, oh yeah, Bobby called me last night. And Tyrone got me this morning. And I don't know. I can't say. I don't.
I think it depends on like what they say too, I guess. Like, okay, when I was thinking of a lot, I was thinking like 20.
Oh my god.
Only because like if that's the first time they're reaching out to you, that's kind of
That's
how I
true.
picture
Okay,
it.
okay,
Not like
okay.
entertaining 20
I
different
didn't mean that. Oh
options.
my god, as judgy as it sound.
No,
It
I
just
know.
made me.
I know.
Okay.
I know. But I think I would be good at weeding them out. If you just send me, hey,
Oh, you gotta go.
gotta go. One guy messaged me on Facebook. Sorry, guy, if you watch this. I don't know you in person, so hopefully you don't care. But, hey, beautiful. Never met you before. You don't get to.
That's not flatter.
No, like, you don't know me. Like, you only are seeing my picture.
Yeah,
like,
I'm a gargoyle at the nighttime. Get away from me.
wait till I get this makeup off. You'll see. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, that would suck too if like you feel like you're not even getting seen or noticed. Like that would be like a hit to your ego as a guy, you know. Most of you guys need it anyway, but you know, it's neither here nor there. Okay, so the last set of stories I want to share. I literally begged my friend for these because we had worked together, so I knew I knew a lot of this stuff, and I was like, I have to be able to tell this, you know. And he didn't care, and he's one of my favorite people on the planet. So I said, all right, gimme. And he said, the obvious one is the time I was catfished. This is definitely like the worst story I've ever heard about online dating from men or women. He's a man, heterosexual guy. Really didn't want to go, blew the girl off a couple of times. Finally, she convinced me to come over, but it was clear it was just to hang out. I get there, she tells me to come to the side door. As I'm waiting by the side door, a man walks by from the sidewalk and says, "Who are you waiting for?" I told him, and he goes, "Oh man, she's not coming," and pulls a gun out and points it at me. I was terrified for a few moments, but quickly realized he was just a guy down on his luck who came up. Frankly, with a genius plan to get a few bucks. That he even looks at it, I'm like, you're too nice. But whatever. But he's nice like that, even though he can come off as like, you know how you are. You know how you are if you see this. He didn't want my wallet or my phone, but made me drive to an ATM with him and withdraw $400 of my money. He also hilariously demanded that I take him through the Popeyes drive-thru for the spicy chicken sandwich, even though it was obviously closed. I then dropped him off.
I have so many emotions about this story. Like, I'm scared, I'm sad, I'm mad. Like, I don't know. It's just, like,
All over the place.
Yes,
I know.
know.
I then dropped him off, and he gave me directions home. We actually had a nice chat in the car. I was scared, but could tell he was just struggling. That being said, I went home, and after giving a statement to the cops and calling my family, I slept on the floor in my hallway. I was so paranoid that he'd followed me home, and the spot in the hallway was the only place in the house where I didn't think anyone could shoot me through a window. Wouldn't that suck?
That's awful.
I know. So, like, obviously, like, there's, like, the funny part of it where you're like, wow, how could this ever happen? Because it
Yeah.
seems so, like, random. But he'll tell you, like, if anybody ever says to come to their house, do not. So I just want to throw that out there for that reason. And then to have the audacity to be like, take me to this closed-ass Popeyes. Like,
And then he gave him directions.
like, but But that would be awful though. Like,
to
one,
this
like
house,
to even have somebody like put your like to feel in
Yeah.
danger like that, and like that somebody could just take your life that easily over something as small as like
a
money
sandwich,
and a
yeah.
sandwich.
Yeah.
But like having to sleep in the hallway because you're afraid that someone can like. So that's the ultimate horror story,
Yeah.
in my opinion. I've never heard a worse story than that.
Gosh. I don't know how I feel now.
I know, it's a lot, right?
I'm sorry, guy, that you went through that.
Me too.
Don't be online dating, y'all. Okay,
There's
don't
more.
listen to me. but-
He's got more. He also had someone tell him before they even met, you should really put accurate pictures of yourself on here. You're 50 pounds heavier than any of these pics. The pics were all very recent, which just added fuel to the fire of my body dysmorphia. Can you imagine going on a date and a dude says this to you? I'd Dahmer them so fast.
Okay.
But like, why, especially being a woman and like knowing like what culture puts on bodies, like for women, like why would you do that to a guy?
That's horrible.
Like I would never, ever. Anyways, we got more. Terrible. Don't ever talk to somebody like that, people listening. Don't ever do that crap. Had the best first date ever.
Aw.
We did the 36 questions to fall in love, which I didn't know was a thing.
Mm.
The morning of our second date, I totaled my car and injured myself pretty badly. I asked her for a ride and she immediately called the whole thing off. Apparently, carpooling to the mini golf course is a fifth date activity, not second. I was
He got in a
floored.
car accident.
I was floored because I grew up watching movies where every single date ever made began with, I'll pick you up at. So,
So she didn't want to pick him up because his car was totaled?
I guess it was like too soon to be picking a guy up. I don't know.
What kind of...
They have too many. Women, I guess, like women have too many options.
Like, that is so
Like,
unreasonable. You're so irresponsible getting in a car accident.
I
Asking me
know.
to pick you up on our
How
second
much did
date.
your insurance go up anyway? Talked to this woman for a while, definitely was into her. She was absolutely beautiful. I told her so, but somehow she projected her own insecurities about her size and body shape, which I loved, onto me and sent me a long scathing text message about how I was part of the problem with society
Child.
and basically to go F off. All I said was she was beautiful. Which, side note, I get, he says. But the way she spoke to me was so mean and condescending in a way I definitely did not deserve. Thank you for knowing that. Yes, no, you did not deserve that. Especially after, like, it's not like you were like, hey, beautiful, if you guys were already talking, because, but I also, it's not like I went, like, when this guy messaged me and was like, you dirty piece of scum, stay out of
Or
me.
that the beautiful was followed by like, hey, beautiful with the thick thighs and big butt. Like,
I
or
know.
something like that, right? Like, it,
Yeah.
like, hey, beautiful.
Yeah.
End.
Mm.
Like, why? Feminism going crazy.
Signed up for a matchmaking service. This was something I hadn't talked to him about. So I was, especially after watching Indian matchmaking, I was like, where?
After 30 days, legs go numb faster when you cross them. I don't know.
Paid $2,000 for 3 dates.
Yeah. $2,000.
And then I get he's a guy, and maybe this is like a very gender something, but if I'm going to a matchmaker, how much are they paying to meet me?
Right.
Like if someone was like, yeah, you gotta pay $2,000, I'm not paying to meet these guys. Are you kidding me?
That's like,
You don't want to pay the $25. You're gonna pay $2,000 for
baby.
3 dates?
I'm going to Aruba for $2,000.
Exactly. So, the website and the contract I signed clearly stated that no personal information was to be shared on the date. So each time we parted without making plans or exchanging numbers. And afterwards, the matchmaker blamed me for not getting a second date anytime because I never asked for a phone number from the dates. I plan to try the service again, but will ask for a new matchmaker. My best guess is that I have spent at least $10,000 on online dating, and that's a fairly conservative estimate. $10,000, and then to still not end up finding your person or a person that you think is worth your time.
Worth your time. What is the resistance? Why is it so like hard?
I don't know. The most common outcome, as I'm sure any guy will tell you, because the few male friends I have say this happens to them all the time, is this cycle. Number 1, we find someone we click with. Number 2, we stay up all night one night having an amazing talk, going deep into our feelings and sharing our souls with someone. Number 3, say goodnight at like 5 a.m. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Number 4, wake up, chat deleted. I tried keeping track of how many times it happened and lost count in the 50s.
Oh my God, that is awful.
Mm-hmm. Like, why? Why would you spend an entire, like, that much time and effort?
So here's what right, like, so now it's like motive, right? Like, no matter what the guidelines of the app require, like, you still have to show up and be authentic, and you don't necessarily have to. Because if you're willing to pay to get on it, you can do whatever you want to do. Like, so so it's hard to I think in person already it's hard to decide if someone's being authentic without time, etc. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, so maybe online dating like speeds up this process a little bit, but like that, I don't know. That's scary.
Yeah. Like. And then, like, as a woman, I'm like, I don't know that I would, like, talk to someone for a whole night and keep a conversation going that long if I wasn't interested.
Right. Like, so I think that's what I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
Like, your ability to do so and not really, because I'm, like, when I'm interested, you're who I'm interested in. Mm-hmm. And until proven otherwise, to Hades with everyone else.
I know. And not everyone is like that, right? Like some of the people I've talked to about like this stuff recently, some people date multiple people at a time, mm-hmm. and they just don't go over a certain boundary until
they know
they're exclusive.
Yeah.
And they said, like, you don't owe any of these guys anything until they decide to be exclusive with you. Like, you can date whoever you want.
It's just so many rules. It's so many rules.
Mm-hmm. But what I like is, like, the more I talk to, like, single women that are doing this, there's less rules. Because they're like, no. Because we've been trained to think like guys will like see multiple options, and until they're settled on one, if they ever do, they're looking at all their options and they're trying to keep people on the back burner, in my experience and like my opinion, you know what I mean. But for women, like if we have our eyes for the most part on one person, I think we've been trained. I don't even think it's just who we are as people. I think we've been trained to like put all your eggs in one basket.
I need some eggs though. Mm-hmm. I know eggs.
But then like when I'm talking to like these women that are like online dating and meeting people actively and dating actively, they're like, no, like these are my baskets, like all my baskets. I got all the baskets, all the eggs. I'm a
scrambled eggs, over medium, over hard, boiled, soft boiled.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Ostrich eggs, chicken eggs,
quail eggs, girl.
What'd you say?
Quail eggs?
Quail.
I watch Food Network a lot.
Alligator.
Alligator eggs. Tadpoles.
Okay. So anyways.
Those are frog eggs.
He says, like, I've made some good friends from online dating. It's not all horror stories, but the fact of the matter is it's a giant effing scam. I've spent a small fortune, and in 7+ years, I think I've gone on less than 15 dates. And all I have to show for it is really low self-esteem.
Jeez. At that point, isn't it an addiction now? Like, I have to... No diss to this guy. Thank you for sharing your story with us. It's just like, what keeps you coming back?
I mean, I guess, like, if it were me... Because we could say the same things, I think, about us. Even if we're not online dating, right? Like, with the situations you've been in, with the situations I've been in, after all that, what keeps us coming back? Because we want companionship. Because we want a partner. Because we want an equal in life, you know? Because I've had to ask myself, like, why do you keep doing dumb shit to yourself?
Yeah.
Because, like, you want to think that someday it'll make up for
Make up
itself
for- yeah.
and be worth it
Yeah.
for all the crap you went through. So he says, here's the thing. Online dating works, but it's the only industry in the world that benefits women more than men. And it's not even close. You know my beliefs. You know I hate men. He does. He's very feminist. And the problem with online dating is that men are animals and women are rightfully just distrusting. I think that's a very good, solid point. When I talk to any woman about online dating, it's always some variation of how overwhelming it is to have thousands of matches they can't get through, or how they get so many creepy messages. I would kill for those problems. I wish I had thousands of creepy messages to filter through.
Wow.
My mom would complain she had 10,000 likes on Tinder, like literally 10,000. So she got to go in and handpick the right guy for her. I'm lucky if I get one genuine interaction every 3 to 4 months. I said, oh my God, to the money. Like, I was seriously sitting there, like, stunned. And he said, yep, the matchmaking service. I've been Tinder Platinum since it first came out. Paid for top subscription level on Bumble and Hinge and all of those. Tried eHarmony, did 2 years of Match.com subscription and never got a single date, not one. And that is just on dating apps. That doesn't include the money I've spent trying to keep myself entertained. Like, not close my eyes and see the image. Oh, okay, I'm gonna share that part. He lost his dad, so like the trauma from that, you know what I mean? So like the therapy, you know, like other things to make yourself okay,
Yeah.
you know? So yes, I'm very appreciative that he shared all of that, but just kind of like food for thought on
Yeah.
all these different things. So I don't feel like very particularly motivated to try.
Neither do I.
that.
Like, if I'm like staring down the barrel of 40, and it's still looking real bleak around here, I might try it, but I don't feel particularly like motivated to try it either. Like, I don't know. I can't. It's the idea of waiting. Like, will someone pick me? And then whoever picks me, if I find them, I hate to say it like that. I don't want to say worthy, but interesting enough to entertain until I just don't know. I'm not into it.
Yeah, no, so, and I've never, like, met a stranger, like, I've never just met a stranger that, like, approached me and was like, let's go out.
Yeah.
So, like, even, like, recently, like, going on this first date, I was telling everybody, because I hadn't done, like, a first date in 10 years, you know, since, like, my first date with my ex-husband, you know. And so I was talking to these girls at work about it, because I know they all date, and I, like, look up to them so much because, like, I don't know, it's just so different to me because I haven't had to do this a whole lot. And so it was interesting to me because I was like, who pays now?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
because, you know, my ass is prideful. So, like, you know, I'm like, oh, I can pay for all, forget it. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Or, like, do I offer to pay for half, or what do I do? They were like, no, don't offer to pay for anything. The one girl said, when that bill comes, you look somewhere else. You do not even pretend like you saw it. And I was like, I don't think I can do that. I did. But then I'll say, like, the guy that I went on a date with made it very easy because when it came, like, it didn't even come. He said to the server, can you give me the check when you get a chance? Like, it didn't even have to deal with that.
Made
Like,
it easy.
so, like, that is a special case. Like, I don't know that it always goes, like, that well. You know what I mean? But just, like, the different things that, like, they talked about, and I don't know, so.
Do you think it's wrong if a guy expects Dutch the first time, or, like, doesn't expect to pay, or, like, what would be your...
Well, so I was on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? I was, like, willing to, and even
pay.
my friend that sent her stories is like, she usually does coffee first because she doesn't want to expect anybody to pay, and she's closer to my age, you know. Well, the one girl that said is, like, actually older than us, and then the other one's younger. But she said that, because I said, well, I was like, I can pay half, though, like, it's not a big deal to me, that's kind of what I expected. And she said, anytime somebody expects me to pay half or asks me to, I'll pay the whole thing and I'll never talk to them again, just to make a point. I said, damn. But dang, so, like, that's what they're out here doing, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
But I'm proud. Like,
Yeah.
I just, I don't know. It's like empowering,
Yeah.
you know. Obviously, like I still kind of like struggle with it. I'm not used to that
It's
treatment.
Yeah, it would be difficult for me too. I would want to automatically just like take care of it.
And at one point, I want to say, and like I'm seeing this like a little bit right now, you know, not like trying to like foreshadow or like put it like any pressure on this like new thing, but something my cousin said, like back to kind of like what Herb said on like putting everything out there. Like at first, she said she did that with her wife, and then she said once she saw how it felt to be treated that good, she said I couldn't do anything else. Like that was just what I wanted. Like I knew I wanted to be treated that way. So like, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, how did I deal with all this other stuff when there's like someone like this?
Who's willing to treat me?
Yeah. And it is very uncomfortable like at times because I'm like, is this fake? Like you can't tell when you're only used to, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. But anyway, so do you think you're gonna jump back on the
No.
online dating app?
No.
Okay.
I'm
You're
not
getting on that train.
I'm not getting on that. I would, like I said, I would have to be like staring down 40, and still very single, before I would maybe consider it. I may be just being facetious right now, I'm being silly about it, but there's nothing about it that's like nothing in me says I want to do it.
Yeah.
I just don't. I'm not a fan of what it takes.
Do you think part of it is not being able to feel anything like electronically? I don't know the right word for it.
Yeah, it just feels like it feels very like looking through files. It feels just very like disconnected, and I don't know. I just can't. I don't even know how to I guess I'll have to sit with myself and to really formulate what it would be like to me, or what the little short time I did it is like to me. But there's nothing about it that's appealing.
Yeah.
It's like off-putting to me.
Yeah.
It's very off-putting to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that too. Like even just from like people that like have like slid into my DMs and stuff. I think it was. I don't know. Like it just like doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and like this situation, like I happened to see him at like a mutual ex-coworker's backyard like barbecue shindig, so like I could like feel that was a thing. And then like when we started talking, he was like, I just thought like I would shoot my shot, and if you felt what I felt when we were there, like we would try it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, I liked that.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine like meeting someone online and getting to feel that. Like how would you, like how can just words and a picture be that for you?
And I'm like easily off-put, not like in an arrogant kind of way, but like so I have to kind of feel.
Yeah. Well,
right?
we're energy people, so maybe it's
maybe it's,
like
And then I'm also like just being vulnerable, and I'm okay with it. Is what it is. Like I've never been like the girl who's always like sought after or given a shot to or whatever. Like, so to sit online and be like, just waiting until someone sees, like,
just waiting.
Yeah, like I just know, you know what I mean? It's just more of the same. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to invite that.
Right.
You know?
Definitely, like, after these stories, that made me feel worse for good guys, though. Like, the guys that I know that are trying
I'm glad
are great
you shared,
guys.
like, guy perspective. I'm glad we got those, like, guy perspectives.
Yeah, because that, especially when there's so many, like, creepy guys out there, like, me knowing these two men and, like, that they are great guys, great catches, would treat somebody so respectfully, and then are also very self-aware, and I think that's very hard to find, and to have them have gone through these experiences. Like, also, if anybody watches or listens and is like, hey, I want to take that person out, like, please message me, and I will make that happen, because I would love to be a matchmaker. I think that would be great.
Yeah.
But I feel bad that it was like that for them.
It just makes me think, like, maybe it is a timing thing. Maybe it just really is a timing thing. Maybe, I mean, I don't know. There's so many variables to it, right? Like, you have really good, solid guys. And then in the world that's like, fix yourself, do this, do that, to attract. It's all of these rules. And, like, you can implement or apply the rules and come up short or win the lottery. How does it really work?
Yeah.
How do you really land the deal?
Yeah.
So.
What I would like to say is, like, be kind.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, I just feel like people are out there
And be
hurting
authentic.
feelings.
Yeah.
Yes, and authentic.
Yeah.
And good luck. Good luck to those of you that are brave enough to be out there.
Yeah, and doing BDSM and stuff. With your weird self.
Get the chains. All right.
All right,
well,
guys. Thanks for listening. Till next time.
Bye.